everybody. Welcome to Mental Wellness Society. Today, our program is about education, and we will be talking about different aspects of how mindful choice is involved in education. So I want to welcome Dr. Lebovits, who is in Pittsburgh. He is the co-founder of our activities, all of them. He's my partner, and he's also the co-creator of Mindful Choice, which is a very innovative method for positive psychology. We have also with us Dr. Kelly, who is right now, I believe, in Florida. Am I correct? Today is
Yes.
Florida. Okay. Today is Monday. Monday is Florida. And she's a neuroeducator, neuropsychology. She's a researcher. She's obviously a psychologist, and she is involved in many aspects of education and helping people to have a better life. And she's also the creator of Positive Team, that I am sure she will give us some word about that, which is an interesting concept. She is a chair of in Mental Wellness Society of the Education and Parenting Committee. She is also with me the co-chair of the Help Ukraine Task Force that we are doing to help Ukraine. And finally, the the main guest of this of tonight is Dr. Rinda Montgomery from Oregon. And Dr. Montgomery is an educator. She has been educating in many people in many different countries. She has an international background. She's involved in many aspects of education, including developing new type of programs for educational communities. She is a co-founder and owner of Paradigm Services in Education.
Paradigm
Am I
Learning
correct?
Systems.
Yeah, I say it right?
Paradigm Learning Systems.
I'm sorry, Paradigm Learning System. Excuse me. And she is the vice president of academic affairs of the Mindful Choice Academy. Mindful Choice Academy is an educational arm of the Mental Wellness Society. A short word about the Mental Wellness Society. We got created in 2020 when started the COVID at the very beginning, because we realized that we could not do things the way we were doing before, and we needed to find a way to connect with colleagues all over the world. So we created the Mental Wellness Society, which is basically the professional international network for science, academy, practitioners to improve functionality by enhancing cognition and wellness. Wellness being that we are not continuing the old trend of mental health, which try to repair people, but we are more in prevention, preventing and helping people to choose what type of well-being they want. We are in 72 countries now. We have close to 300 members that they don't pay to join. We handpick them, select them, because they have a skill which is helping to build a better global toolbox for us with their specialty or their geographic location. We have 4 groups. One group is health and wellness professionals. The second group is a group of education parenting. The third group is agent of change, which is where we have people who are in industrial psychology, um, uh, industrial psychology, industrial organization, helping companies, corporation, executive. The third one is the group that we have for psychology. And it's a group involved in psychology and psychiatry, neuropsychology, and social workers. In each group, we have 50 to 70, 80 people. Some of them are in different groups. And after the, the height of the COVID happened, the calamity in Ukraine, and we created a task force. And we are all very involved in helping uh, remediating the trauma that the people are going through in Ukraine. And we have a task force strong of over 300 members. And we have many events, including education for professional and education. We are working on education for kids because they cannot necessarily go to school. So that's what we do basically. But I would like to, after this short overview, I would like to ask Dr. Kelly to tell us more, of course, about herself and Mental Wellness Society Education Department.
Thank,
Sherry.
thank you very much. I'm also a former educator, and I think that brings me a unique perspective and an important perspective in working with the Mental Wellness Society, and in particular, our team, the Parenting and Education Group. One of the things that is of global concern is how we are educating today's youth. There's certain commonalities that today's youth have. One of them is, are we prepared for the future? Another one is the feeling of just, being alone and without a purpose, without set goals. And these are the very issues that can be addressed through the Mental Wellness Society and the Mindful Choice Academy programs. I'm also the co-founder, along with my daughter, Caitlin, who's a Mental Wellness Society Youth Ambassador. We're the co-founders of PositiviTeens, which is a global organization that provides education and support and resources for free to young people all over the world, educators all over the world, and parents all over the world. So we really seem to have our hand on the pulse of what's going on with today's youth and what their real needs are. So I'm very excited to be working with Dr. Meyer and Dr. Rinda Montgomery in developing programmings for bringing better decision-making, better coping skills, and better social emotional learning tools into the classroom, starting with teachers. So one of the things that Dr. Montgomery and I have been discussing are courses that we're going to have in the future for educators on social emotional learning, on decision making, on how to bring kids to think about their strengths, their character set, their internal decision making processes, and how they can learn more effectively. So one of the things that I really am excited about is working in the future with teachers on the Mind Evoke PSI cards. And I'm giving a plug here because I really love them. This is a little box. And there's 12 reasons to use these icons inside the box. I really think, and these are the cards, this is just an example. That's why I'm bringing it up now. This is just an example of some of the real life practical strategies that we can bring to educators around the world to enhance learning, also to make teaching less stressful on educators. And I believe Rinda Montgomery is going to talk about the resources and the courses for educators are going to be available in several languages. So our international reach on our educational programming is going to be quite extensive. And we're also doing, I think, a holistic approach to educating teachers as well as educating children in a way that is going to ultimately help them throughout the lifespan, not just when they're in school. So I'm going to, ask Dr. Meyer if there's any questions he has of me, or Dr. Montgomery, any questions you have about me, about the potential courses that we're working on and what we're doing right now with our team.
Not a question, just an additional information. We are not only doing with children, parents, educators, but we are very much involved in continuing education on the mental wellness society, and Mindful Choice Academy is really a place for continuing education for professionals, but also for older people, which that's a course we developed at Carnegie Mellon for OSHA. We have a course where my youngest student was 72 years old. And at the very beginning, they were thinking best year of their life were in the back. And they were going slowly to try to go the slowest they can towards a coffin. That was the view. And after 3-4 weeks, they realized they had a choice on what type of quality of life they want to have. And they could decide what would be the outcome on life. And they could choose. So that program is a program that helps us to understand that there is no age to learn to live better. And that's basically what we are doing. But I don't have any other question. Rinda or Dr. Lebovits, do you have any question for Dr. Sherry?
Not right now, no.
I just wanted to add.
She said it so well. She was so eloquent that we have no more questions.
Well, I just wanted to add something that's really important that has to do with my background as a neuropsychologist and my work with PositiviTeens. So one of the main aims of PositiviTeens is to foster a positive growth mindset in our society that is so now culturally influenced by the negativity and cynicism of digital technology and social media. This is a change in how people are educated. It's a change in how people are thinking because of the influence of digital technology. Their reasoning platform has changed by the platforms that they use. We don't want our youth to develop into reactive adults. We want them to be proactive adults. As Dr. Meyer often says, we don't want to live life by accident. We want to live life on purpose. So many of our programs are designed to help people of all ages enjoy a purpose-driven life. In my educational programming that I currently do, I'm so glad Dr. Meyer brought it up. I teach courses on how to stay vibrant in the digital age. And also I work with medical students in how to reason and how to think, how to do a clinical interview that's more effective and more enjoyable as young physicians. And also I work with teachers and helping professionals in trying to prevent burnout in these very challenging times. So I think, the Mental Wellness Society and the Mindful Choice Academy is providing programming that is so flexible, yet also very timely right now in an age of negativity, in an age where so much of our reasoning, in other words, has been hijacked by digital technology.
Thank you. I will add that we are in many countries. And the fact we are in many countries, we can share many different experiences. And also, all the members are at the forefront of cutting edge in their field. So we are able that way, everything we do in the Mental Wellness Society and in Mindful Choice Academy is bringing the most advanced scientific knowledge and immediately injecting in everyday life. So that's a very short circuit bio process of vertical integration of all our different disciplines. With that said, I want to come to Dr. Rinda Montgomery, and I want to ask her a lot of questions about herself, about her international career, about her company Paradigm Learning Systems, and her relation with Mental Wellness Society and Mindful Choice System. So that's a long question, but I prefer to ask you one question than to interrupt you too many times.
Okay, ask me one question, then interrupt. I first became involved with the Mindful Choice Mental Wellness Society over a year ago, last fall. So it would be going into 2 years, year and a half. Dr. Meyer contacted me through LinkedIn and wanted to have a conversation about our work, what we do. And there were evidently clues in our profiles and in our business outline that what we are doing has always included mental health and whole body, mind body wellness in our K-12 curriculum models and in our higher ed curricula. So we had that conversation and started that journey together, through which I've also gone through some really wonderful coaching and deep level learning on the mindful choice methods, the evoke cards, all of the tools and terminology and life changes that can occur when you are employing the model. To the extent that I've designed model for K-12. Currently, the one that is available is for grades 5 through 12, and we're calling it Breathe, Think, Choose, or BTC. And Breathe, Think, Choose is, well, that slide looks a little different from what I made. Breathe, Think, Choose is about the journey of your life. I use a metaphor of taking a hiking trip, a many day hiking trip for the students, and how every journey on a hike includes switchbacks back and forth. And so as we move forward, the next slide, we want to take the experience of the hiker or the orienteer who is learning how to take this hike, this journey of their lifetime, and gain the abilities that they need to gain. Next slide. So this is a journey that we take students on to begin their lives so that they have a direction that's going to take them toward an outcome that they can predict, that they have chosen, rather than life just happening to you as you go along. Next slide. And this is endorsed by the Mental Wellness Society and has its grounding in the research that Drs. Meyer and Lebovits have done in their practice and through their work. And we're very happy that we can align this work to students who don't speak the language of psychiatry and psychology and research, but absolutely can implement the practices, and they have been through our pilot programs. Next slide. The curriculum translates the research-based concepts into something that the kids can understand and activities that they can do. And so instead of telling them about it, we walk them through it. Next, the daily 15-minute activities approximately are meant to be like something that you would do in homeroom or some sort of daily self-focused course where the students are given the opportunity to talk about what's happening to them and to experience tools and methods that actually change how they make their choices. So each switchback contains multiple treks on which the students learn additional teachings. And the students are the orienteers. They're the ones who are guiding the path because they're the ones who are choosing the destination. This shows you at the top, you can see the base camp, and near the bottom, you can see the trail's end. And these are the switchbacks that the students take throughout this journey. And it changes a little bit as the students get older and that the learning and the application gets deeper. but even 10-year-olds have been able to follow along and employ practices that are making them change how they're approaching their life and their choices. If you are familiar with the Mind Evoke card, you'll notice that the colors of each of the titles, the colors behind each of the titles, is related to the theme colors that come with the Mind Evoke cards. And so we ask the students, are you ready for life's journey? And this is how we prepare them to be ready for life's journey. We want them to know that we understand it's a steep climb and there's a lot going on, but they're not left alone in this. They're not going to be left alone in this. And in the end, they get to reach the peak and find that success.
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Lebovits has some questions for you.
Yes, thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
Doing very well, thanks. When we've spoken, you and I have talked a great deal, and it's been, I will tell you, for me, it's been a fabulous experience to see the depth which someone who becomes conversant with mindful choice can actually take mindful choice and just build it bigger and bigger. And we're hoping that as it becomes more accessible to people and as people develop it and learn it, they will find their own unique experiences with it that we haven't even considered. And I'm just looking forward to all of that. One of the things that we've talked about is the need for, as a consequence of COVID, the need for advancing the social and emotional learning of children today, that teachers are finding there is a significant delay in the social emotional learning of their students. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and how the Breathe, Think, Choose is going to hopefully enhance and rebuild the children's social and emotional well-being.
We are calling it resilience for personal effectiveness because the term social emotional learning doesn't have a very solid definition in K-12 education, and it's being over-identified with aspects of learning that aren't really associated with it. I want to be very clear that we are teaching students to be resilient in how they run their lives, in becoming masters of their lives, the ones who control their choices. And that is not to say they don't pay attention to authority, but it is to say that they look at their environment in a new way and they look at their options differently. A lot of kids grow up thinking they have no options. They are what they are. They're going to do what they're going to do. They just go along with what they're told. And it's one of the reasons that my business partner and I abhor what are traditionally called worksheets, because students get this notion that learning is, get a piece of paper, fill in the blanks and turn it back, and get a piece of paper and fill in the blanks and turn it back, and get a piece of paper. That's not learning. That's learning that's just filling out a piece of paper. We want them to experience this. And so all of our learning design is about experiential learning, application, demonstrations of the isolated practices and demonstrations of the applied practices in context. And so we're very focused on making sure that we start where the students are. And right now, because of the pandemic, because of over 2 years of not having the same societal growth opportunities, school growth opportunities that normal kids would have at this point, they're behind. They're behind socially. They're behind emotionally. They're behind cognitively. They're behind in every aspect of how they process life. And we've seen this. We have middle school teachers who are retiring earlier because they're suddenly dealing with what are normally upper elementary activities, behaviors, and high school teachers experiencing things that usually only happen in middle school. And they're not fully prepared for that growth step to deal with that because they just haven't been prepared for it. Breathe, Think, Choose is allowing the students to do just that. Those are the core components of what they're learning to do, is to step back, breathe, calm down, make sure they're not in any panic or trauma in the moment, and then think about what choices they have and then make a rational choice. this is causing an accelerated maturation process in our students, which is a bit surprising for the teachers. One of our pilot projects was a totally online program. The other one was brick and mortar. And the teachers report that they were really surprised at how this, what they would learn in this short time every day would play back from the students throughout the day. As they would say, well, if we learned this, then doesn't that apply here? Isn't this how we make choices here as well? And they were starting to see the application in all areas of their lives. And so resilience is a core focus of what we're trying to accomplish with students and adults. There are going to be courses through the Mindful Choice Academy for adults on a BTC for themselves, so they can take the journey that they would put the children through, and then the training of those who will be training kids in BTC, so that they know the backside of how we're guiding, how we're approaching this, the process of creating experiential learning instead of lecture feedback learning.
Fantastic. I mean, I can see so many other applications when we talk about resilience. One of the, as Dr. Meyer was mentioning, the work in the Ukraine, so much of what we're focused on is building resilience in the face of trauma, in the face of terrible hardship. So I could see very well how BTC, can be can be customized to use in a variety of different environments to build resilience for all sorts of populations. So this is great. Thank you very much. It's great.
One of the things I need to specify for our listener is what to do breathing with thinking and choosing. We are saying think, breathe, choose. Well, number one,
Breathe, think, choose.
Realize that you cannot choose. A choice is between two possibilities. If you see something and you do it, and you only see one way to react, it's not a choice, it's a reaction or an automatic reaction. So we are training the people by not doing automatic reaction, which does not engage their intellect capacity, I will say even their mindful intelligence, because it only engages their emotion. And we definitely make a difference between not being driven by emotion, but being driven by choice and reasoning. And to do that, under any type of decision you have to do, which is small or big, it is stressful, small or big. The only way is to breathe. And we teach people to breathe properly before making a decision. And that's the key of the system. So I wanted to explain, because our viewer can say, well, everybody says that, but how are you different of the other people? That's a question I know Dr. Kelly wants to ask. Am I correct, Dr. Kelly?
Yes, I wanted to ask Dr. Rinda Montgomery to explain further, how are we different than other online learning programs or educational programming?
There's more science behind this than anything I've ever worked in nearly 40 years of education. The whole concept of how the breathing approach addresses allowing the mind to work. What the physiological aspect of that is enlightening. It was enlightening to the students even. They got it faster than I did. But also, we were taught as educators in educational psychology that there's the main model to use is there's an antecedent, the ABCs, right? Ed Psych. There's an antecedent, and then there's a behavior, and then there's a consequence. And the focus is on the behavior without interjecting that one thing that mindful choice has, is that you get to choose your attitude. There is an antecedent, but you get to choose your attitude. And the attitude then determines what your feelings will be. Your emotions come. That happens. That's just part of it. But from that point, you can choose how you want to look at something. And then that will result in how you're going to feel about something. And that will result in a different set of behaviors that may look completely different from what you would have expected given the antecedent, given the sensory information that you got. That whole model gives the choice back to the kids. It turns them from reactionaries, right, and victims of whatever the environment is, to absolute control of their thinking. And once they have control of their thinking, they have control of everything else. And it makes a huge difference in the students' sense of victimization in a lot of environments, right? We're in trauma as it is, but even before the pandemic, there are a lot of students who go through thinking, I'm stuck, I'm always stuck doing, well, no, you're not stuck. There are always at least two choices. But we were asked before this began, Dr. Meyer asked us, which of the cards is our favorite? Mine is the destination card, because that's the core, the pivotal piece upon which BTC is built. If the students don't know where they want to go, if they don't have a destination in mind, if they don't have a vision of what their entire life would be like, and I'm not just talking about work, every aspect of their life, if they don't have that vision clear in front of them, the choices aren't going to make any sense. Because I can hear teachers saying, you want to be successful someday, don't you? Okay. What does that mean to them, right? But this is a destination they have chosen. They have envisioned this themselves. We start there. And from that point on, everything is about, is that going to get you to your destination?
I think one of the things that these programs, this approach brings that others don't, is really a sense of agency and self-efficacy to the students, the people taking the courses, which is so important for resiliency. You have to have that sense of agency. You have to have that optimistic attitude. You have to be able to adapt. And you're also providing a way for them to have a greater sense of control. And this is all part of promoting a more effective decision-making process. Dr. Montgomery, can you talk a little bit more about, how do we actually help students become better decision makers?
The tools that are presented through the program, through BTC, and the whole mindful choice model is about exactly that, mindful choice. And that's why breathe, think, choose. The choose is in there. That's ultimately what they're doing, but they're doing it through a different route than they've ever had before. Our model has us practicing this with the students, walking them through what happened to them, how they've experienced it, what choices they've made, and how that was experienced, what next choices they could make, how that was experienced. We're talking about resilience, not resistance, and we're talking about adaptability, not succumbing to circumstances, right? It's very much like the model that Dr. Mark comes up with a lot is the plant that bends in the wind but is flexible enough not to break. Right? It's not going to be pulled up and it's not going to be knocked over. But these kids learning to be flexible, not only with how they work through things, but watching how other people work through life, because we're all on this journey of some sort, whatever the choices we're making. And so to have that level of empathy come from the students when they have a process by which they can dissect what other people are experiencing and say to themselves, oh, yeah, my parent is in tunnel vision effect right now. The first time I heard that from a student, I nearly fell over. Wow, that's really mature of an 11-year-old to recognize that their adult in their life was going through a trauma event, and that was not the time to introduce anything.
Yeah.
Just breathe.
I just want to, if I could, just to interject, one of the concepts that we present very intensely is the idea: if you don't see a choice, you don't have a choice. Right? So a major component here in the thought process is to see choice, is to see the possibilities, is to see what else can be. And obviously, if you're not aware of what's going on in your environment, and if you're not aware of what's happening inside you, then it becomes virtually impossible to see choice. So much of what we do is directed towards helping people see what is really going on, what is really happening to them and around them.
coming to choice on resilience. One of the things we do for children as well for adults, because nowadays after COVID, there is it's well known, there's a COVID PTSD, not for the people who had the COVID, but for the whole society. And what have made that? It's something similar of what we are talking. It's the difference between internal locus of control, which means I can decide, I choose, I make my world around me based on my decision, versus external locus of control. I would like to do, but there is so many things I don't control. I would like to do that, but it's not in my hands. Who am I to decide? This is external locus of control, and this is what makes sales people to be bad sales people, because they always miss a brochure or something, or the client don't want to buy. But from the good salesman who say, I know what to sell and I will sell, because he sees the sales. The other one sees a problem. So this is very deep, or this is under different, I would say, facets. But that's what we teach in terms of wellness and good life preparedness. And yes, resilience to what? Resilience to your emotion and your doubt. Knowing how to make good decisions. That's as simple as that.
So, Rinda, one of the things that I really like in this program is the mindful choice 4-step approach to decision making. So it's really helping students learn how to think in a new way. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about, this is something that you can teach. You can teach someone an approach to decision making.
You can teach them an approach to decision making and have them employ it that very day. There are tons of opportunities. They don't realize how many decisions they're making without thinking through a process. Right. But if you take them back and walk them through that process on the smallest considerations, they get that practice of successful application of the model, and then they can move forward and extrapolate it to larger decisions.
So, Rinda, can you tell us a little bit more about the courses that you're going to offer and who's teaching?
In the Mindful Choice Academy, we have subject matter experts from around the world who will be working in 11 languages to offer courses to address the needs of focusing on our main groups that are in the Mindful Choice Academy. So they're education and parents, they're business people, they're change makers, the medical personnel, coaches and trainers and psychologists and psychiatrists. And so there are people from around the world who are published authors and university professors and researchers who are coming to us with their subject matter expertise to write curriculum that's designed according to a model that Paradigm Learning System has created, which allows people the opportunity to demonstrate learning beyond just writing, beyond giving information, but experiencing the opportunities that the tools will have to bring to you. And so we're dovetailing the Mindful Choice Academy's concepts with the subject matter experts. So we've got agile business approaches and Scrum. We've got working with young people and suicide prevention and trauma prevention and those aspects. We've got neurology and neuroscience in multiple applications, including education. We've got over 100 courses in the works.
Preventing avoidable divorce. That's one of the course too. Preventing, learning how to prevent an avoidable divorce. That's also something.
Learning how to prevent it. Yes, avoidable divorce. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Lots of courses on relationship. Lots of courses on self-awareness and what that means in a very deep sense. Much more than the conversation. In fact, I have to say about all of these courses, they're about how you live, not just how you think. And how you think is a precursor to that. But all of these are meant for adults who are already in their lives. And the focus is how are you making your life the life you want it to be? How are you making your life better? And here are ways to do that. And so it's an incredible range of individuals with vast amounts of knowledge. And I'm really looking forward when I start to see stuff coming in other translations. It's a little bit surprising. Oh, look, this is in Ukrainian now. Oh, look, that's what it looks like in Arabic. Oh, look, it's exciting to see. But more than anything, exciting to see a group of people from around the world come together with the same mission in mind, and that is making the life of the individual more under their control, and giving them the ability, the power, and the ability to make the choices they need to make.
At this point, I would like to get involvement of some of our viewers. I have seen one of the comments from Jolie McBaku, which is very interesting. She said, "This sounds to me like we are thinking about talking about life itself rather than talking about what we need in life." And I think, yeah, Jolie, you got it right. That's what we do. But maybe yourself, Jolie, or other viewer have some question to ask for the four of us. So we would like to open the floor to you, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Any question? Anybody wants to ask a question?
Well, while we're waiting for questions, I just want to share with you, it's really exciting to see the ensemble of experts from around the world who will be teaching courses, hosting courses, some of whom also have companion books that are very famous. We are welcoming a very well-known educator in the States and author, Daniel Blanchard, who's written a wonderful book for boys and men called The Storm. And there it is. And, we have such concerns about raising young men today. And this is a wonderful course that's going to focus on that. We also have a course from him on working with teachers and paraprofessionals in the classroom. We've got Kurt Meneke, who's, Kurt, who does, the Smile to Succeed series for adults in the workforce, as well as young adults and teens in the workforce. So I'm really thrilled to welcome hosts of these courses that are really leading experts in their fields. I don't know if Rinda, if you want to add something to that.
We have a number of people who are focused on the physical side of whole person wellness, and they're bringing to us their practices around nutrition and exercise, but not as an outside activity or side activities. It's just part of good living, part of being healthy. And
posture. That's the
posture. Did you see me sit up? Yes, posture included for better breathing. Amazing programs that they've been using in various places around the world, and they're bringing them to us so that we can offer them online, asynchronously, and in people's own time. So there's not going to be a deadline to when courses need to be finished, because we all know these are working adults who have lives to live, and we don't know what's happening. So the courses are open to them.
I would just add one of the most exciting elements of all of the Mindful Choice Academy is the fact that there is literally no age limit nor age restriction. Okay? In my clinical practice, I've used these paradigms, these principles, this methodology with 8 and 9-year-olds, and I've used it with 80-year-olds because it has that robustness and that applicability. And the courses that are going to be offered are really just, are identifiable for pretty much anybody who's interested in exploring their lives and seeing.
As you say, you work with adolescents of all ages.
I work with adolescents of all ages. I've got 20-year-old adolescents. I've got 60-year-old adolescents. I work with adolescents of all ages, right? And yes, Mindful Choice is an extremely robust methodology.
Dr. Montgomery, I just want you to quickly remind people that the other exciting aspect of these courses is that there's continuing education credit available, right?
There is continuing education and credit
On
available.
university validation.
Yes, university credit. We're an American university, which is going to be offering them course credit, credit overlay, or continuing education credit, which can be used in their careers if they need to demonstrate continuing growth. That credit option is available to them on these courses. And that's why we're focused on designing most of the courses to be a series of 3 under one subject. So there'll be 9 credits available. The first course would be an introductory course. The second course gets a little more into analysis. And the third course is when they get to turn around and solve a problem that they're having in their own practice. Turn around and say, okay, I'm going to implement this way. This is how my practice is going to move forward because of what I've learned in this subject.
If I could add one other point, the Mindful Choice Academy is open, is in fact eager to hear from new contributors. So anyone who is watching this program, if you have expertise and you have a curriculum you'd like to see presented, you'd like to see turned into a course to be offered by the Mindful Choice Academy, please contact us because we would be very excited to bring you on board.
We also offer to our faculty member the possibility to publish books because many of them don't have a published book, and we help them at the Mindful Choice Academy to publish a book which will be part of their course, of their curriculum, but the book can be sold by itself. So we do the marketing, we do the promotion, we are helping people in their neck of the wood to be known all over the world. We are in fact looking for people interested on nothing wrong by not being mass academy or institution of education, but dealing with niche of specialties. We deal with many specialties. And all those specialties, it's okay because we have people all over the world interested about those specialties and we learn from each other. It's not just that the teacher are teaching, it's learning from each other, which is very important. So that's one of the elements. I wanted to ask my colleague, because we are very soon launching the Mindful Choice Academy. Rinda is collecting all the curriculum and making sure that everything follow, I would say, academic and university possibility of credit. Where do you see the future of the Mindful Choice Academy? What do you see in the future?
What I'm envisioning, my destination for it, is that we will be able to interface with multiple professional organizations around the world and multiple universities so that we can offer courses that are aligned with their standards of practice or their degree level programs, as well as their credit overlay or their continuing education. Because the work that we're doing the world's changed drastically, and the globe's gotten much smaller than before, and it's important that we all have a common language by which to understand each other and work together. And that common base language has to be how we're living our lives, how we're producing, what we believe production is, what our moral compass is going to be. And I'm not trying to say that mindful choice is focusing people a certain direction spiritually, although it is focusing on what's best for you as a living being. What is best for you? And those choices then bring our learning to working with people with learning difficulties, business organizational activities, coaching and mindset, motivation, industrial organization psychology. There's such a wide range of courses that we're working on. And I believe that we will be able to interface with international organizations, just as there's already been an agreement with the Association of Psychologists, Ukrainian Association of Psychology, to work with their people in the task force that is intervening in Ukraine. I think all of those organizations and education colleges around the world can connect with us so that we can offer courses that give credit through them, that are recognized by them, so that it's just a blend. It's just a blend of all of those opportunities.
Maybe you can talk about your other job, because
My other
I've been speaking about the Mindful Choice Academy, but maybe we need to mention to our viewers that some of the program, not all of the program of the Mindful Choice Academy, that you found interesting for immediately to take them on, I would say, inject them in for children to use it immediately, because we are talking about knowing how to deal with life, and there is no age to learn how to deal with that life. You are taking those programs, you are adapting them, and you are bringing them to educational for educational organization with your company paradigm that is doing that. So maybe you can explain that, and also the success you have with some of the Mindful Choice program going this fall already in schools.
Paradigm Learning Systems are learning solutions architects. We set up learning environments for organizations, for public schools, for private schools, for higher education, and governments and non-government organizations. We set up learning experiences that make a difference, that accelerate learning, but also accelerate retention, because we teach the learner how to learn, how to create for themselves their own learning experiences. And so in our schools that we have going already, there are pilot projects on BTC for the students and the teachers. And we will be extending that this next year as well, so that we're going into the making sure that it covers K-12 and higher ed. And the differences that it's making, first surprise comes to me is from the adults, from the teachers and the parents who are listening in the background, who come back and say things to the teachers about, oh, I never thought of it. It really helps to have the same languages that you're using with my child. So now I can say this, and they'll be thinking this direction instead of, I'm meeting with a brick wall. So we want to open up an opportunity for the parents to take BTC as a separate opportunity for our parent coaching, for our learning coach guidance training, so that they have the same language they can use to, and skill set that they can use to work with their people under their care.
I would, when the question arises, where do I see the Mindful Choice Academy going? As Dr. Montgomery mentioned, the heart of the methodology, of the method, is identifying first and foremost your destination. Where do you want to get to, right? And as a very good friend of mine once told me, when you ask for something, ask big. There are no brownie points for asking small. So my vision, my hope is that Mindful Choice becomes the next wave. Mindful Choice becomes a way for people to really promote their future and how to live the life they're looking to live, and have it be a language that is going to be shared by everyone as a way of approaching life. And
thanks to the icon. The icon are pretty international.
Yes.
Sherry, what's your view?
I'm so glad that Dr. Lebovits said that. So much of what the Mental Wellness Society provides and Mindful Choice Academy provides is based on research. I can tell you, as a research clinician myself that studied resilience and the impact of future orientation and destination on mental health, having the mindset of looking at your destination, the use of backward design, for example, the use of choices, the use of behavioral activation strategies, These are all things that are evidence-based strategies that we can feel confident in providing in our programming through the Mindful Choice Academy.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I think we are coming to the end of the program, and I will ask Dr. Lebovits to wrap up and close the program.
I'd like to, first of all, thank you, Dr. Montgomery and Dr. Kelly, for being here and all the information and all the insights you provided, because I think it really makes the Mindful Choice Academy and the work we're doing present and out there for people to see and understand. And your explanations and your descriptions were wonderful. I hope that we will proceed and all of the programs that we're pursuing will come to fruition and will actually be available to people to improve their lives. And I look forward to hearing, we are eager to hear from more people to participate in the Mindful Choice Academy, to become a part of it, to use it, to share it, to contribute to it. And we're hoping that it will really just grow and grow and grow over the time to come. And thank all the viewers for participating, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you at our next programming.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.